Hey everyone, it's Sarah, and today I have a video that I know is going to be very exciting for a lot of you. These are like the most popular videos that I can post ever, and I'm really excited to do an updated list here. I know, so let me tell you what we're going to be doing. So this is my top 10 for life video. If I had to get rid of every other fragrance in my collection and only keep 10, these are the 10 right here that I would keep. Yeah, and it was kind of hard and kind of easy for me because I know what fragrances I love so much I couldn't live without. But at the same time, it's like, gosh, I've got things on here. I've got a lot of designer scents on here, and I've got a lot of really beautiful niche fragrances in my collection. But this just goes to show you that just because it's beautiful and niche doesn't mean that it's something you would want to live with for the rest of your life. These are the fragrances that I would truly be happy with if I only had these 10. I did try to pick things that are still available too. I didn't want to pick out a whole bunch of discontinued fragrances. I can tell you a couple fragrances that would have been on this list if I could repurchase them, which I can't. And if we're talking about fragrances that I'd have to wear for life, they need to still be available. But my Insolence from Guerlain, that would have definitely been on this list if it were still available. And same with Guerlain Mon Exclusif would have also been on this list if it were still available. I love both of those fragrances. I really wouldn't want to live without them. But if I had to, I would be happy with these 10 here. So with that being said, let's jump right in. The first one that I knew, this would be the only gourmand that I would need in my collection. I would be perfectly happy with this fragrance and only this fragrance as far as like a sweet, cozy gourmand type fragrance goes, and that is Aquolina Pink Sugar. I've had a bottle of this in my collection for most of my life, honestly, at this point. I adore this fragrance. It's heavy vanilla, sugar, brown sugar, I think. Or, yeah, it's just a heavy, sugary vanilla caramel. People pick up a burnt note in this. People that really don't like this end up picking up some kind of a burnt note in it, which I can see, but I don't get that. It's got licorice in it, which is not very prominent. It's not licorice in the way that you're going to get licorice in Hypnotic Poison. But it's there, and it adds a little bit of interest. It's just one of my favorite fragrances ever. I love this. Not only do I love the way that this smells, I love the way that this performs. Every single one on this list, except for one. Well, no. Almost every single perfume on this list is an absolute beast, and that's part of why I chose them. And this is no different. This is a beast on me. I can spray this on in the morning, and I will still smell it 12 hours later before I'm about to go to bed. I love it. I need to pick up the body lotion of this too. I would love to have the body lotion to layer over this, or to layer this over. Not that it needs any help at all. It's a beast on its own, but you know me, the more the better. Okay, this next one, I had to do a real gut check with this one. It was between this one or Orchidée Vanille from Van Cleef & Arpels. Orchidée Vanille I adore, but once I got to smelling the two of these side by side, I knew that if I had to choose just one, this is the one that I would choose, and this is Virgile from Syvaine Delacourte. Number one, this is less expensive. It's just as beautiful, and there's something about, number one, the amount of vanilla that is in this, the amount of sweet, beautiful vanilla. There's just a ton, and with the different, it's like an aromatic vanilla, so it's got these beautiful herbs in it as well. I believe it's got sage. I believe it's got thyme. So it's just this beautiful, very unique aromatic vanilla that is an absolute beast. This thing lasts for hours and hours. Like, this is one of those that if you could spray it on a sweater and you would smell it on your sweater 2 weeks later. It's just a beast of a fragrance. I just love it. It's stunning. And part of why I chose this, even though I love Orchidée Vanille so much, part of why I chose this one instead is because of how unique this is. And because it lasts just a touch longer than Orchidée Vanille does. So the vanilla that I would want to have in my collection forever would be Virgile from Syvaine Delacourte. Okay, I knew I had to have an amber. I could not live without a good amber in my fragrance, and I knew immediately when I thought about amber which one it would be, and it would be this one here. This is from L'Artisan Parfumeur, and this is L'Eau d'Ambre Extreme. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite amber in my collection. I'm pretty sure hands down. I love this. It was a toss up between this one and Ambre 114 from Histoire des Parfums. But there's something about the L'Artisan that I like just a touch more, and I think that it's because this one has a little bit more vanilla in it, and it's just ever so slightly sweeter. I adore this fragrance. It is my favorite amber. Again, like the others, it is a beast of a fragrance. I can spray this on in the morning. I will still smell it 10 hours later. It's super cozy, super comforting, and it's just my favorite amber. I love it so much. It is like perfection. Another amber that if I didn't have access to this one and I had to go with another amber, I would probably go with, I think the next closest thing to this is Ancient Amber from Be Layered. Ancient Amber is a magical amber. It is like a perfect amber. And it smells very, very similar to this. It's just this beautiful, warm, sweet, perfect amber. That is L'Artisan Parfumeur L'Eau d'Ambre Extreme. Okay, this next one will be no surprise to anybody. I talk about this fragrance all the time. It is my favorite Etat Libre d'Orange fragrance, and I adore it. This is like this. Oh my gosh, I love this fragrance. Every time I smell it, there is something so cozy and comforting about this fragrance. It's the ginger, and I swear there's carrot seed in this. I'm quite sure there's carrot seed in this. It's the same note that I get from Tom Ford Sol et Neige, which I also believe has carrot seed in it. I love it. It's such a unique but cozy note, and I love it. But yeah, ginger, carrot seed. There's a pumpkin note in this. I think there are some flowers in the middle. Like all I smell when I smell this is like the warm ginger, the carrot seed. That's really what I get most. And I just love this. I could not live without this fragrance. This is another one that it lasts forever on me. This is one of the fragrances on this list that performs the worst. Even though it's not a bad performing fragrance at all, it's just not quite as much of a beast as like Pink Sugar or Virgile or a couple of the others on this list, but it's still, you're gonna get a good 6 to 8 hours out of this easily. And I love this. This would be in my top, this would be in a top 5 for life. Like if I had to pare this down to just a top 5, this would be in a top 5 for life. This would, oh my gosh, yeah, it would, I mean, it would even be in a top 3 for life, to be honest. It's one of my favorite fragrances on the planet. I just adore it. And there's nothing overly special about it. Like I don't want, anytime I talk about this fragrance, I love it so much and I talk so glowingly about it that I'm afraid people are gonna run out and buy it and be like, there's nothing special about that. Why did she hype that up so much? And there's not, it's not groundbreaking. It is unique, but it's not like earth moving, you know, it's not an earth shattering fragrance. There's nothing like that you need to drop everything and run out and buy it immediately. But if you're like me and you like warm, cozy fragrances, and this is one that can be worn any time of year. I've worn this in the heat, I wear it in the cold. I prefer it in the cold, but it can be worn any time of year. But if you're somebody like me that likes fragrances like I do, I think you'll have an appreciation for this like I do that, you know, others might not have. So anyways, that is like this from Etat Libre d'Orange. This is what's going to happen because I'm talking about all of my favorite fragrances. We're going to be here for an hour talking about 10 perfumes. Okay, this next one is, again, not going to be any surprise to anybody. I adore this fragrance, and I cannot imagine myself living without this. This is Dior Addict. I think a lot of people would feel like that. There is something, this is a tonka heavy fragrance. To me, I get mostly tonka bean more than anything else. This is heavy, heavy tonka. It's vanilla tonka. I think it's Madagascar vanilla too, if I'm remembering correctly. The newest formulation is very simple, but it still retains that same richness and coziness and warmth that the original does. I do have a bottle of the original 2002 formulation, and they're not that far off from each other, honestly, even though the notes list is different. And this has way less notes in it than the original does. It still retains the beauty of the original formulation. I just love it. It's a very tonka heavy fragrance for me, and I just find it so warm and comforting and cozy. And this is like the ultimate cold weather fragrance for me. This is another one I will literally wear any time of year, though. I don't care. If I'm craving this, I will wear it. Even in the dead of the heat, which it can be suffocating if it's really hot out. I've done it before. And yeah, it can be a lot. But man, do I love this fragrance. So anyways, that is Christian Dior Addict. I think that one speaks for itself, really. It's such an iconic fragrance that I think most of us couldn't live without. So yeah. Okay, and another one that is very much like Addict, but it is different, is YSL Manifesto. I could not live without this fragrance either. This is like Addict, but it's different. It's not quite as heavy on the tonka. It's a little bit lighter smelling. This has got more florals in it, so you get just a touch more of like a floral character. But it's still very cozy and warm smelling. It's just a little bit fresher than the Addict. And I don't know, but it's very similar to Dior Addict. They're very similar. I love them both. It would be hard for me to have to choose one, so I chose them both because honestly, I wouldn't want to live without either of them. I just love them both. So, okay, next is a newer release. And this is one that I immediately knew I would not be able to live without. I wouldn't have been able to live without the original, but I really can't live without this one. And this is YSL Libre Intense. Oh my gosh, I love this fragrance. There is something so... It's sweet and buttery and a little bit floral. It almost gives you like honeysuckle vibes. There's no honeysuckle in this, but it gives you, but you get that kind of honeysuckle. Like if you've ever smelled a fresh honeysuckle, it's got this, I don't know, there's just this beautiful freshness about a fresh honeysuckle. And that's kind of what I get from the florals in this. This is totally different florals though. This is like lavender and I'm pretty sure some jasmine in here. This is like a honeyed, buttery, sweet fragrance. And it smells very much like the original Eau de Parfum, but it is more intense, which is why I chose this one. Because if I have a choice, I will always go for something more intense, more long-lasting, richer, warmer, everything. And that's what this is. It's warmer, it's richer, it's more intense. It's got a butteriness to it. It's just stunning. I just love it. So anyways, that is YSL Libre Intense. I could not live without that fragrance. And this lasts absolutely forever on me. 8, 10, 12 hours easily. Yeah, such a stunner of a fragrance. Same with Manifesto and Dior Addict. Those are beast fragrances on me. I can get 8, 10 plus hours out of those. Okay. Next is one, I just love this fragrance. This is another one that I've had this in my collection in some form for the past, I don't know, 15 years at least. I just adore this fragrance. This is Marc Jacobs Decadence, and oh my gosh, I love this. This is plum, and it's also got some kind of a wood in the base. I can't remember what the wood is. It's something, I want to say like teak or something. It's not like a very common wood, if I remember correctly, but yeah, it's beautiful. It's like plum. It's like a woody plum. It's slightly sweet. There's something about this fragrance though that reminds me, I say this every time I talk about this fragrance. Back in the 80s, my mom used to have potpourri bowls all over the house, full of like dried potpourri. And something about this fragrance takes me back to that time and to how those bowls of potpourri smelled. And yeah, and in particular, this takes me back to a Christmas when I was maybe 3. And we had potpourri all over the house that smelled particularly like this. So there's something nostalgic about this as well. But I love how this smells on me. I'm one of the people that this really, really works on. There are some people that it just does not work at all and they hate it. I am completely opposite. This works beautifully on me. I love the way it smells. I don't get any kind of pickle juice or I don't get anything like that. I just love it. I just love it. So anyways, it's an absolute beast on me. This is another one I can spray it on in the morning. I would never have to reapply this. I will smell like this for 10, 12 hours easily. And yeah, I'm glad that I have a huge bottle of this because I'm hearing that Decadence has been discontinued. I'm not totally sure. I have people tell me that things are being discontinued all the time, and I really have to take it with a grain of salt because I will often find out that things are not being discontinued. Or are not discontinued at all. So, but I do think this one has been. So anyways, that is Marc Jacobs Decadence. Okay, and then the last two are a couple of rose fragrances. This first one is Chloe EDP. I could not live without this fragrance. This is like my grown up, my grown woman floral that I just couldn't live without. It's rose, it's fresh, it's like a green rose. It's greens and rose. It's super fresh. It's, I don't know, it's unique though. It smells like Chloe. Yeah, I just love it. It's soapy, it's clean. So clean, soapy, green, fresh rose. I get a touch of a pepper note in there. There might be some pink pepper or something in the top. I definitely get a touch of pepper. But I love it. Clean, soapy. It smells very grown woman without smelling dated or mature. I just love it. So, and it is an absolute beast on me. This is another one, 10, 12 plus hours, and I will still smell like this. No reapplication necessary. It's just such a beautiful rose fragrance. So anyways, that is Chloe Eau de Parfum. And then last but not least is another rose fragrance. In my mind, the only rose fragrance that I would need. If I had to choose only one rose fragrance for the rest of my life, this would be it. This is Stella McCartney's Stella EDP. Yeah, this will be no surprise to any of you. I adore this fragrance. This is an old signature of mine. I bought it right after it was released. Yeah, the same year it was released. I mean, within months of it being released, I bought it. I've been through countless bottles of this, and I adore it. This is the newer formulation. I just snagged a bottle of the Rose Absolute off of eBay, which I was so happy about. And I also have a couple. I've got a mini and a roller ball of the original formulation, and then this is the new formulation. The only difference is this one isn't quite as rich smelling. It's not quite as like intense smelling as it used to be. It still smells like Stella. I still get have the same experience. It just isn't, it's just not the same. but I still love it. I just wore this the other day actually, and I easily got 6 hours out of it. So it's not like the worst performing fragrance in the world either. It's just not what it used to be. It used to be, you know, what Chloe is for me today, where I could spray it on in the morning and I would never have to think about it again, because it would be there for until I took a shower and washed it off. It's not like that anymore. It does wear off after about 6 hours, but I still adore it. I could not live without this. Yeah, this is like the one and only rose fragrance that I would ever need in my life for the rest of my life, and I would be happy. I love it. I've been wearing this for, I don't know, almost 20 years now, and I still love it as much today as I did back then. And because I think it came out in 2003, and I know I started wearing it the year it came out, and I think it came out in 2003. I'll have it on the screen for you whenever it came out. But yeah, I've been wearing this for almost 20 years, and I've never gotten sick of it. I've always had a bottle of it in my collection, and I just adore it. So anyways, that is Stella EDP from Stella McCartney. And that is going to be it, guys. Those are my 10 for life. If I got rid of everything else in my collection, these would be the top 10 fragrances that I would absolutely keep. I do hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you guys in my next one.